All right, we back. We double dipping. We just dropped in a matter of minutes ago the David Haye, Tony Bellew rematch. Thoughts and predictions. So go check that out. It's the Boxing Clinic and more. If you don't know, now you know. It's your boy CJ Goodfella. One time for the one time. We in the building, man. Talking some real trail boxing talk as usual. And y'all know we do more than boxing. And look out for a food for thought video coming tonight. But yeah, we back in this thing, man. Doing our thug thizzle, two-stepping through the day. We being real consistent with the boxing talk, and I appreciate everybody for sharing the channel, like and subscribe it, man. Keep it moving. Tell somebody about the channel and subscribe, man. If you just watching and you just watch all the time, you don't subscribe, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we're not always gonna agree, but like I said, I always stick to my principles and use facts that goes into my opinion. But Abel Sanchez, I'm gonna link this article in the description for Boxing Scene, said that after Triple G put an ass whooping on Danny Jacobs, in his opinion, I'm just paraphrasing there. You're not the same fighter once you go 12 rounds with Triple G. And he says the last two Danny Jacobs appearances on HBO, his last two fights, he hasn't looked like the same fighter. And I think Abel Sanchez may be on to something. That's something that we have all not talked about. That's something that slipped by the Arias fight. That's something that's a lucky fight. And through all the prediction videos or the review videos, reaction videos I seen, the live stream, we never once mentioned Corey Lee Boxing Talk, Cali Enigma, the brother Trey X, Hooray, Moni Brown TV, Colossal Boxing Talk. All those that we just streamed with this weekend, I streamed with. Nobody brought the fact up that maybe Daniel Jacobs isn't the same fighter after going 12 rounds with Triple G. I think Abel Sanchez says a lot of outlandish, crazy shit, but this is not one of them. He took a lot of punishment in that fight with Triple G. Triple G is known as a big puncher, a humongous puncher. And I think Danny Jacobs took some punishment, and maybe he's not the same fighter. I mean, the Arias fight, you really couldn't tell because Arias was really melting it in. But at the end of the day, Danny Jacobs was supposed to cut the ring off and put it on Luis Arias, In a lucky fight, he got hit with everything with the kitchen sink, like Abel Sanchez said. Flush. It wasn't him rolling the punches. It wasn't near misses. It wasn't Gray's punches. He was getting hit flush with jabs, right hands, and left hooks all night. And maybe Danny Jacobs isn't the same fighter. Maybe he don't have the legs. He is a older 31. He's been in the game for a long time. And his punches seem to still don't have the steam as they once did. He's loading up. He's off balance. His footwork isn't looking fluid. And a lot of us said it might be a tribute to the fact that he's coming in weighing a lot more than his opponent, because his same day weigh-in of the fight is never being shown now. Not in the Triple G fight, not in the Luis Arias fight, I don't think it was shown, and not in the Saluki fight. His same day weight wasn't being shown. So I thought him being a little bit sluggish and a little bit off balance was due to him putting on a lot of weight. And the reason we say he put on a lot of weight, and the reason he does put on a lot of weight, is a simple fact that the extra weight gives him durability. It gives him security on his chin. His chin has been looked at as shaky. In the Pirog fight, it could have been the cancer. But then he came back and dropped by Sergio Mora. Triple G dropped him. But when you get knocked out the way Pirog knock you out, cancer or no cancer, whatever it may be, you got ice. That's always going to be in the back of everybody's mind. Any opponent knowing that he can still land that one punch and get you up out of there. But Danny Jacobs hasn't been looking like the explosive athlete that he was versus, before Triple G, And I think it's a valid point by Abel Sanchez to make that. I know I don't always agree with Abel Sanchez, but Daniel Jacobs ate some nice punches in that fight. And I think, that could be a tribute to his downfall. He hasn't been physically looking good since the Triple G fight. Maybe 2 fights, but versus 2 lower level professional fighters. I know Milwaukee's best, Luis Arias, was a good amateur, but he hasn't really shown anything at the pro level. Saluki, Danny Jacobs knocked him down, but he didn't hurt Saluki. Saluki got back up, and I think Saluki won that round. The power don't look to be there for Danny Jacobs. Maybe it could be the fact that he's rehydrating so high and it's taking something away from him. I remember James Toney said that ended up hurting him in his career. Squeeze him down and rehydrate. And when you squeeze down below a healthy weight for any human being, and especially a fighter, it drains the water and the fluid out your body, and your brain system fluid And like Nazim Richardson say, I bring this up all the time. When you fight too low below your natural weight and you squeeze down, it drains the fluid from your body. And when you drain fluid from your brain and your body, when you continuously drain that fluid from that brain and that body, it slowly or surely it ages your body and it takes your prime away. And before you know it, your prime is gone. So guys like Bernard Hopkins that fought a little bit more closer to they walk around weight, Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, they're able to last a little bit longer. You know what I'm saying? So Danny Jacobs, I think he's rehydrating all the way up to 180, or 175. Let's just be nice to say 175, 15 pounds above the welterweight or the middleweight limit. At the end of the day, it's hurting him. It's physically crippling him, and maybe he don't feel it at the time. But when he wanted to hit that next gear in fights, and he has some slow, sluggish starts to fights, that's what it is. When you put all that weight back on and all that nutrients and stuff in your body becomes sluggish. You threw that weight on in under 24 hours most of the time, trying to get a physical advantage, and you sluggish, and your reflexes and your reaction, and your mental reaction ain't that snazzy, And I think Abel Sanchez got a point. He's been looking horrible the last 2 fights, and like I said. And a lot of the brothers on the comment section and everybody in the Boxing Clinic family, in the LDBC community, YTBC community, everybody in the boxing community, thinks he's food for Charlo. Just because we've seen the 2 performances, even though he won both of them, it looked lackluster. And I think Abel Sanchez might have hit the nail on the head, man. It might be the fact that he took a lot of punishment from Triple G, and putting that weight on. I think a combination of draining yourself down and throwing that weight back on is killing Danny Jacobs right now. You say, what would be the answer to this situation? Physically recovering, eating right, and not putting that much weight on for your fights. Because I'm going to tell you this. Versus Jermall Charlo, he don't need to put on that weight on. I understand that Charlo's a big puncher. He got a good jab. I think Danny Jacobs need to come in at a solid weight the same day as the fight. 170 is enough for him, I believe. So he can have his reflexes and his bounce in his legs and have his legs back. His legs ain't been there. That's why he's swinging for the fences and really he's pushing for knockouts, and he's really swinging and looking slow and looking real amateurish. He needs to come in at a respectable weight. He needs to take some time off from the gym. He needs to recover. He needs to, I don't know, the hyperbolic chamber, whatever they call that shit. He needs to do the ice bath. He needs to really let his body recuperate and really flourish at his natural weight for a minute. And that may be shutting it down to the end of the year and really, really nursing his body up to health. I think that's very important for him, because all that draining of the body and throwing weight back on your body, that's not good, Danny Jacobs. It's not good. And it not only did the beating from Golovkin hurt you, that's hurting you. I think the weight is hurting him more than the actual beating from Golovkin is hurting him. Throwing that weight back on, throwing the weight off and putting it back on is hurting him. But I think the Golovkin beating, the fight with Golovkin took something out of him. I really do. Golovkin was obviously the harder puncher in that fight. I thought Danny Jacobs out-hustled him. But, Golovkin could have broke him down. He really could have. And from the Golovkin fight, I think he ended up fighting Luis Arias in the end of the year. Was it like a November, October? So he had some nice time off. But at the end of the day, I think the Golovkin fight has something to do with it. He ain't really fully recovered from that ass whooping. And he beat Golovkin too. Let me not say that. He gave Golovkin some punches too. And Golovkin didn't seem to have the same snap and the same intensity and the same ferociousness versus Canelo too. So I got to throw that in there too. He didn't look the same fighter after Danny Jacobs. It's similar to the Danny Garcia and the Lucas Matisse fight. I go back to that fight. Both of those guys were not the same fighters after that fight. And perhaps Triple G and Danny Jacobs ain't the same fighter after they fought. And Abel Sanchez need to look at his fighter. He ain't looked to have the same legs and the same power and the same tenacity and the same energy level after he fought Danny Jacobs, neither with Canelo Alvarez. And I'm going to stand on that. And I'm going to say that. It works both ways. But let me know what y'all think. It's the Boxing Clinic and more. It's your boy CJ Goodfellow. Don't forget to look at the links in the description. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're doing big things on all those. Subscribe.